Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Career Journeys with Coach Stella. I am your host, Coach Stella OC. Thank you so much for joining in. All right, let's go live on all platforms. We are live on Instagram, YouTube, and yeah, I think that's about it. And Facebook. Sorry, I'm like, there was a third one. I knew there was. All right. Happy Wednesday. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on your time zone. Welcome to Career Journeys with Coach Stella. I am your host, Coach Stella, and I am joined here today by my wonderful, wonderful friend, sister, Dr. Kim Everett. Thank you so much for coming on again the second time around. I'm here to give another segment of your career journey. How are you today?
I am doing very well, and I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks for coming back on. Now, Dr. Kim gave her career journey. You can catch the previous episode on season one of Career Journey. But in that journey, she gave us a little teaser. Dr. Kim, as you recall, has many different talents and skills and titles behind her name. And one of them is Reiki Master Teacher. And she is here today to talk to us about her career journey in that path, what led to it, and also give us some more just background behind the scenes knowledge around Reiki and the work that she does in and outside of the workplaces. So, Dr. Kim, thank you again for joining us. Let's dive right into it.
Let's do it.
All right. So let's start off with introductions. For those who didn't catch your first episode, if you could just please tell us a little bit about yourself. Please share any and everything to the folks that you feel will be helpful as they join us on this journey.
I am Dr. Kim Everett. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And there's a lot to say about who I am and what makes me who I am. I am Mary's baby girl. I am Jaya and Markia's mother. I am Dwayne and Marcus's little sister. I am a friend, a cousin, a mentor, and all of these other things. By day, for the last 20 years or so, I have been an educator working with students in and outside of the classroom, mostly college students who are trying to figure out their way, who are trying to learn what it is to be them and how they want to move through the world. Along that journey, I also discovered Reiki, and I've also discovered a number of other spiritual pathways and processes and have decided to dive in deep there. So I am also a yoga teacher trainee and a Reiki master teacher, having gone through all three levels of Reiki training. And that is where we're going to get to focus in on today.
Absolutely. All right. Yes, so much to unpack there. Let's jump right in. Talk to me about how you came about Reiki. I know in the previous career journey, you talked about that it started out with what you were going through in the workplace. Can you talk about
Mhm.
that a little bit?
Yeah, my very first experience with the practice of Reiki was in 2016 when I was going through a transition in my personal life for the most part at that point. But that felt like sort of a one off experience. I had known a student, I was working at Northeastern Illinois University at the time, and one of the students that I worked with was a seasoned practitioner and a healer in a number of different ways and spaces. And she and I connected while I was moving through a particularly challenging transition. And she introduced me to Reiki for the very first time. But it was years later before I really dove into the practice and started to engage with the practitioner on a regular basis when I was moving through another challenging transition, this one more specifically in the workplace, and was on the brink of burnout and depletion. And I discovered another practitioner quite by happenstance, or so I thought. These serendipitous things are never by chance, it's all divinely ordained. And it was through her that I was able to start to build sort of this web of support that was able to help me pinpoint and identify the places where life was starting to challenge me, but also provide me some relief and solutions around it. And so, also in the workplace, I got to know a wonderful practitioner and another Reiki master teacher who became my instructor. And she and I have been rocking and rolling as partners in healing my own and that for others as well.
I found it fascinating that you discovered these folks in the workplace. Talk to me a little bit about that. How did you, first of all, how did you even set it up to even feel safe in talking to these folks about what you were going through, or how did the conversation of Reiki even come up in the workplace?
Yeah, that's something I talk about, and sharing fully and transparently and bringing your whole self into the workplace and being open to learning more about who the people you work with are, in addition to what they do on the job. So, the student that initially introduced me to Reiki, Lakeisha Harris, and she and I are still Facebook friends and connect on a regular basis. She would talk about this healing practice, and it was completely foreign to me at the time. But because she was so open to talk about the ways that it had been a part of her process and the conversations that she was having with other students at the time, it made me curious and it made me ask more questions. And in the same way, I found Katie Bellamy, my instructor. We were at an event at work and we were all talking about some of our interests outside of work. And we were talking about sort of a lot of the metaphysical stuff like crystals and energy healing and Reiki. And it was again at one of those round table conversations where you're supposed to network and get to know people. And it came up that she might be leading some training in the future. And in terms of feeling safe, I tend to be a pretty open book. And I tend to be ready to share a lot of who I am in hopes that others might either find inspiration from my story or be able to provide me with resources that I need. And I know that's not easy for a whole lot of folks, and it's not always easy for me. It used to be easier than it has become. Some folks have said that that's sort of naive and poor boundaries, but I believe that closed mouths don't get fed. And so, if we're not willing to share of ourselves, then we may be missing out on resources and we may be missing out on being a resource to someone else.
Thank you so much for highlighting that. I think, when we talk about inclusive leaderships and how leaders need to show the human side of them, and that, takes sharing themselves and being vulnerable and leading into that vulnerability, and how much we are still hesitant as leaders to do that. But when you do, look at the ripple effect that it creates. Folks are sharing about themselves, you're learning from each other. And for you, it led into another career path. So, talk to me about your journey into the Reiki master teacher space. How did you start? What were some highlights of your uh, journey in the educational space of that?
hmm I became a regular client with Reiki probably in about 2018, 2019. That was the time where I found my person. My person, Tiffany Murphy, was the Reiki practitioner that I was going to on a regular basis. And I really first started thinking about it in terms of how can I lean into myself and not depend on others in the same way for the healing that I experienced through Reiki. And I was really just looking at doing this for my own self as a way of self-care and as a means of me trying to balance and heal my own needs so that I don't have to go and find someone in order to be able to do that. And again, we're having a conversation at a campus event, and Katie tells me that this is something that she's looking to do. And it was a little bit longer than that, where she offered the first level one certification for Reiki practice, which is really practicing on self and other loved ones. And I didn't have any intention of moving into this in terms of any sort of public facing offerings or a career at all at that point. And that was in 2021. And I took this course with her, and it was profound for me to be able to provide this for my own self and for the friends and family, including you, who would allow me to be able to practice. And I heard back from them that it was a pretty profound experience, and that there was a gift of healing that came through that I never really imagined. And so I think back to all of the other things that I have done, and it's sort of I fell into it and I thought it was just the thing that I was going to do for myself, but the demand started to show up and people wanted this healing. As I talked about the ways that it moved me and the ways that it cleared pathways for me, the people around me wanted more of it. And so I continued with my studies. I went to Katie's second level course, and I learned a little bit more about how to heal others, how to work with the energy of others, some advanced techniques and the such. And I fell in love. I fell in love. I still was not trying to practice publicly or trying to practice as a business at that point, but it called out to me, and more people started to ask for it. And because I am an educator at heart, and that's built into my DNA from the very beginning, I was like, more people need to know how to do this for themselves in the same way that I was seeking the opportunity to be able to provide this space for my own healing. I wanted others to do that as well. And so I went ahead and got the third level of Reiki certification, which also includes the ability to teach and provide the attunements to others. Now, I'm still working through my process of getting into training. I've had a few folks who are interested and have asked about training, but you know how imposter syndrome keeps popping up in one's life. And I'm wondering, like, who am I to be teaching folks this? But as the call continues to go, it's sort of a who am I to hold back on this gift that I have. And so I'll say it here, and y'all hold me accountable. It's time for me to start the training processes. So as I'm looking around and seeing folks who are looking for new pathways to heal themselves, new pathways to reflect and engage and care for themselves in the world that we live in today, it's time for me to start teaching other folks how to do this great gift that I've gotten.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for unpacking that and sharing that. And it's a great segue. So, Reiki is while I know it's not a new tradition, a new practice, it's new to a lot of folks. I mean, 2021 is where, when witnessing you firsthand go through the journey for me is when I started honestly just becoming aware of it. So, can you just in explain it like you're explaining it to your goddaughter, your 8-year-old goddaughter? What is Reiki?
Reiki is an ancient Japanese healing art form. The idea is to tap into source energy or divine energy, and the client draws in the energy themselves. I like to use the analogy of a lamp. If my client is the lamp, and the outlet is the connection to source, God, universe, a number of different names that we may call it, then I'm the cord. It's not my energy that you are getting. I am simply the connection from you to source. And I provide a conduit for you to draw in the healing energy that you need. It's an intuitive process. It is a process that folks tend to find very relaxing, very warming, and also stimulating in the ways that they need it to be. So it is uh, I always use the analogy of sort of the Karate Kid, like the old school Karate Kid with when Mr. Miyagi sort of rubbed his hands together and laid hands on Daniel's son in order to heal the injury that he had. Now, it's not quite that dramatic. That's Hollywood. It's usually a bit more subtle to balance the energies that we have in our body, because it is definitely believed that a lot of illnesses and disease start out as an energetic imbalance. And the energetic imbalance is sort of the whisper, whereas the chronic diseases and illnesses become the screams. And it's just more of a let's listen to these whispers and attend to the whispers before it gets to the point of a scream. That makes sense?
It does. It does. So now I'm putting so many different hats on here. You mentioned the cord that you're plugging the cord into the outlet, the source, and I heard you name some deities. How do you address any concerns for individuals who may feel Reiki goes against their faith traditions?
Well, again, it is based in Eastern philosophies, but Reiki is not attached to any religious or faith tradition. The individuals are calling on their source. You're calling on your source in order to be able to receive the healing. So if your faith tradition believes in a ability to divinely heal oneself, or to be able to draw on the healing energy of whatever source you call on, then Reiki is just one more way of doing that. I can remember distinctly one client that I worked with. There was an elderly woman who has a strong faith tradition. As I was introduced to her, I was told that she's not missed the morning prayer line in the last 20 plus years. And so I had a conversation with her in the language of her faith. As we started out our session together and as we practiced together, I asked her to pray. I asked her to pray in the ways that she prays. And I asked her to, again, invite in source for her. And we had a beautiful experience. She and I were able to have a conversation about what it felt like for her, and how, again, I am the conduit. You are calling in the energy, and you are calling in the energy from where you know it to come from. And so there is no conflict whatsoever in terms of how things move. Because again, it's not my energy, it's not my belief systems that are at play. It is your intuitive calling, and it is you that is bringing forth what it is that you need.
Amen. You preach it. I will say in my experience, my conversations with God has just gotten so it's gotten better. It's
Mm.
gotten better. Like I'm listening more. I'm pausing more so I can listen because I can I get ahead of myself a lot. And so I will say that that's been my experience, is that I'm able to actively listen to what God is trying and has been trying to tell and show me. So thank you for delving into that. I know that that's probably something you get a lot as you get folks who are interested or just looking for another outlet, looking for another tool to add to their healing belt. And so this segment of Career Journeys is dedicated to healing while working. Can you talk about how you've been able to enter in and do Reiki practices in the corporate wellness space?
Oh, yeah, I've had a chance to do that a few times. And my approach to wellness spaces extends beyond the Reiki practice as well. It's always there and embedded, but I really want to help folks tune into their purpose, tune into what it is that you're put here on this planet to do, and to be able to set a plan for aligned action in pursuit of that. One of my first sort of Reiki specific opportunities was at a conference. There was a conference of birth justice practitioners. And as with most mission driven organizations, they were looking to walk their talk. And so it's always a matter of healer, heal thyself, or who is taking care of the caregivers. And so I had an opportunity to spend 15 minutes per person providing a quick shot of Reiki to folks while they were at this conference. And again, remember, to date, I had really practiced on friends and family and referrals from friends and family. But this day, I got a chance to practice on complete strangers who I had never seen before and may never see again. And I think that day there were 15 people who came into the space for their healing journeys. And I heard so many different responses and reactions to the experiences that they had. The conversations that we shared gave them profound insights on what was happening in their lives. And again, I've never seen these people before, so I could not have guessed as to what was happening with them. But the ways that the energy moved from their source through me and into them was real and profound in a number of different ways and spaces. And that was incredibly affirming. I've also had the opportunity to share Reiki at a corporate wellness retreat in collaboration with my instructor. And it was, again, sort of the quick shots of Reiki as they were looking at wellness for the members of their team. And I was able to share a message with one person in particular, and he was completely surprised by the word that I had for him. But he told me it was spot on. And we had more conversation about that later. And then there's also been opportunities for me to not necessarily work with the Reiki energy directly, but to be led through this idea of purpose and energy reset for a couple of other opportunities. Right now, I am in the wrapping up a sort of a coaching program with leaders of crisis response teams. And the healing that happens in that space every other Monday is nothing short of amazing. My role in all of this is really to just open up a space for people to pause, like you said, think about what it is that they need, and then call in that need. And that is what it is that I do across all of these opportunities.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. So Dr. Kim, if someone was interested in your services but doesn't live, is not available for in person, is this something you can do remotely, virtually, and what does that look like?
Absolutely. This energy knows no time or space or distance. Having remote sessions is really a matter of giving me permission to kind of tune in and connect with you. And then it's still just the same as if I were laying my hands on you. You are simply still calling in the energy that you need, and divine source still finds you, and it still gets you exactly what you need. It stays as long as it needs to stay, and it knows exactly where to go.
Awesome. And where can folks find you?
The best way to get a hold of me, I'm getting back into my practice. So again, you all will keep me accountable, but my Instagram is the best way to get a hold of me and talk. And that is at Dr. Kim on Purpose. And you can also learn a little bit more about me and my approach and my philosophy and background at my website, which is www.drkimonpurpose.com.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Kim. Not gonna let you off the hook just yet. I'm gonna want to pick your brain. Q4, we talk about the season of Q4 being grind mode. And your folks are just go, 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 go up until the winter, the holiday shutdown, whatever folks like to, the break, the 1 week break that we've been consistently been getting, although I hear some companies are doing away with it. Take a
Absolutely.
breath there, take a breath, take a breath. But Q4 is notoriously known for grind mode. And yet,
Mhm.
burnout is still a thing. Folks are running on empty. So, in your experience, can you talk about some small ritual or daily habits that can help folks feel centered or reground themselves as they're dealing and having to show up and perform during these times?
I can think of a few things. And this was just what we talked about on Monday with that coaching group that I was sharing about. We talked about these micro self renewals and the little things that you can do to fill your cup. And it could be something as simple as pause, as you said earlier, slow down, breathe a little bit before you walk into the meeting. Slow down and breathe a little bit before you start your work shift. Wake up in the morning and set an intention for how you want to see this day unfold. And as the day progresses, continue to revisit that intention. Take a breath. The breath is always there and, accessible to you. I love me a 4x4 box breath where you just inhale for a count of four, pause for a count of four, exhale for a count of four, and pause for a count of four. That has saved my life in times where I was to get ready to sort of run off at the mouth or say something that I may have regretted later. But that box breath gave me the space to stop, think, reset my nervous system, and be ready to respond or reply as opposed to responding or reacting. Little things like hydrating yourself. Take a sip of water throughout the day and eat. This is one that continues to be a work for me. Feed yourself so that your body and mind are operating optimally. Those are some of the little bitty things that you can do. During that coaching call just the other day, one of the participants did a profound thing that seems small. There was a phone call that came through, and she looked and she said, "That's not urgent," and continue with the conversation. Really stop and assess whether or not everything needs your attention right now. Some things do, but they don't always. So give yourself permission to really think about that. And those are some of the sort of micro things that you can do. But on a more proactive basis, setting a morning routine. For me, my morning routine needs to include meditation as soon as I am able to. That gives me the space to set an intention for my day and to really direct how the day may go. I am getting in the habit now of giving myself some nutrition first thing in the morning. And I've never been a big breakfast girl. And so I have a shake that I prepare for myself and think of it as fuel. I have to do these things every single day in order for me to be able to function through the day. One of the things that my yoga instructor talked to us about was keep up and you will be kept up. It seems like a thing to take time out of the morning to practice these things, but if you keep up with them, they will keep you up.
Consistency.
Exactly.
Consistency. We can all fall off. We're human. Things happen. One thing that stood out to me um, in some of the tactics that you shared, oh, I just had it. Um, Now I'm kicking myself. Um, this is why I put myself on mute because I turn into the amen choir over here. I'm like, That's what I'm doing
I
over
need
here.
that though. So stop muting yourself. Let me know if I'm on to something. Yes.
You are, you are, you are. You were touching so many points. Um, oh my goodness. Okay, it's gonna come back to me.
Okay.
But those tactics, yes, but consistency is key. I love the keep up so you don't have to what?
Keep up and you will be kept up.
Keep up and you will be kept up. Absolutely. Um, we all fall off the wagon, but yet, getting back on day by day, it gets better. But okay, now it came back to me.
Okay.
Just hold on. Oh, you talked about first thing you do in the morning, meditate or the micro affirmations or the micro, what did you call it?
Micro
Micro
renewals.
renewals. That is especially important when you've had a bad day.
Oh yeah.
You come home from a day and you're just like, oh my God. Especially if you didn't anticipate it being a bad day. I always say to myself, all right, do what you need to do to bring you some type of micro joy. For me, I'm very intentional about the bedtime routine that night with my little ones to kind of center me back to my why. um, but I love what you said about in the morning. All right, it's a brand new day. Yesterday is gone. What happened happened. I'm gonna take the lessons, leave the emotion, and move forward. The
Mhm.
micro.
And you
So
have agency in how today will go. It
ab-
doesn't just happen to you. You have power in what you want your day to look like.
but sometimes you feel like you don't have
Mhm.
control if you're walking into a toxic work environment and you have that boss or that colleague that's just you can't control them.
Mm-mm.
So what are your thoughts?
That's
If
where
I
the break
can't
comes in. That's where you pause and be ready to respond as opposed to just reacting. That is where you set your intention for the morning and you remember that intention. You say, I told myself I was going to have a good day today. I told you are not about to steal my joy. I am going to have a good day. I'm listening to this thing that you're talking about, and I am going to remember why I got up today. And I'm going to keep that why in front of me throughout the whole process. I'm going to take this moment and breathe. I'm going to take this sip of water to keep myself from saying this thing that I'm thinking about saying. And I'm going to give myself a moment to pause, and then after that, like you said, I am going to go and purposely find this thing that brings me joy. I remember for me, that was the ride home with my youngest daughter. We would ride home after that work day, and she would tell me about her day, and I would tell her about my day, and the frustrations of the work day would melt away as we moved down Lakeshore Drive. And that made all the difference in that process. And then when I got home, my kids knew, give me 20 minutes to shake this day off me. And once I have those 20 minutes to shake this day off of me, I will come out here and do what really matters, which is be a part of this family and look after you all.
Yes. So when the responsibilities don't stop after you leave work, what do you need to do to get centered? Thank you for sharing those different tactics. The other piece I hear in that is the power of community, the power of finding your people in the workplace and also outside the workplace. You need your
Absolutely.
people. You
Absolutely.
need your people.
And one
Happy
of my
hour.
favorite communal processes is witnessing. I share with you what's going on with me. And this is one of the things I love, particularly about our friendship, but I have it in all of the people that I care about. You're able to reflect back to me the strength that you hear in the ways that I move. And you're able to reflect back to me what you gain from the ways that I show up. And I do the very same thing for you. As you are sharing what is happening, I reflect back to you the strength that I hear in how you are moving. And I reflect back to you the ways that you inspire me. And that is another way of, that's another ritual and tactic of how we continue to navigate these worlds that we live in. And that's something that we could all learn and make a habit.
Absolutely. The power of network, the power of connection. If you don't have your people, let's start to make a goal to find your people.
Yeah.
There is a community, there is a group for everyone. You cannot, you cannot get through the workplace. You cannot get through your careers in a silo.
Mm-mm.
If
Mm-mm.
nothing else you take from these wellness and these career journeys, whether it's healing in the workplace or just overall career journeys, the number one theme that I'm seeing here is that it's not done in a vacuum. It's not done in a silo. Folks need each other. We need each other when things are going well, but especially when it's not going well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Dr. Kim, thank you so much for imparting all your wisdom with us today. I know I'll expect an invoice in the email.
Nah, not this time. Not
All
this
right, all
time.
right, all right.
I'm here for the people.
All right. So, we are at time, believe it or not.
Oh
I
wow.
know, I know. All right. So, I do have some round of questions, but I do want to just give you space if there are any closing advice, sage nuggets, or folks or things that you would like to share with folks as they are closing out Q4 and going through and showing up and showing out in the workplace.
The time that you take to take care of yourself is not indulgence. It's absolutely necessary. Yes, you probably could continue to trudge through and try to make it work. But if you take that moment to pause and look after yourself, then you will do more and better than you could have if you were to just try to thug it out and tough it through. So self care really can help you to be more productive. And I don't want to think about it like that, but it gives you the ability to be able to be clearer and sharper and better able to do the thing that you were put here to do. So again, if you keep up, you'll be kept up and it'll all get done.
Awesome. Period. Thank you so much, Dr. Kim. Before I let you go, I have a lightning round of questions for you.
Okay.
Top of mind thinking, don't think too hard. Just want to pick your brain and get some more daily things that you may do or top of mind stuff that you think about. You ready?
Yes.
All right. First one, a morning ritual that you try not to break.
Meditation.
All right. A book that has made a huge impact or that you keep coming back to.
The Alchemist.
Period. That's also a common book as well. Alchemists and the Four Agreements have
Yep. The
been
four agreements are on this poster right here behind me. I keep it around constantly.
awesome. All right. What is one song that automatically shifts your mood?
Yolanda Adams, Open My Heart.
Mm, I like that. All right. And the last question. Complete this sentence. Lately, I'm learning to.
Take care of me.
Hmm,
Move in alignment.
awesome. Dr. Kim, thank you so much for joining us today on Career Journeys Healing While Working. Please sure to check out drkimonpurpose.com and tune in next Wednesday. We have our last guest on Career Journeys Healing While Working. It's sure to be another great, impactful conversation. Be sure to follow me on my Instagram channel at Coach Stella OC, as well as subscribe to my YouTube channel, Career Journeys with Coach Stella. You can also feel free to find me on LinkedIn if you're looking for any coaching services or just overall want to chat and connect. All right. We'll see you next week, everyone. Be well.
Take care.